Hello everyone. I had a couple of dreams Monday morning that I want to share with you. I waited all week before making a video because I wanted to be sure about what the Holy Spirit was telling me. I've prayed over it and I've asked for understanding and confirmation. So far the Holy Spirit has not given me anything more than the understanding that I received after I woke up from these dreams. And I've not received confirmation in this yet either. But I thought I should throw it out there just to see if anyone else has had any dreams similar to these. If you have, please send me an email. My address is in the description. In the first dream, I saw myself and my husband in a ranch-style house visiting with some people. We were wearing cowboy boots and hats. There was a man talking about the car industry, and I remember I asked him if he worked for Ford. At first I asked if he worked for GM, and then I corrected myself and asked if he worked for Ford. Then a downpour of rain came, and the sky was dark. Before we knew it, a flood came and rose above the door. The floodwaters seemed to be getting higher and higher. My husband began to try to open the door to leave, and I stopped him. I told him the water would come in, and he had to keep the door closed so we would be safe. Then later the water had dried up, and my husband and I could see that the house did get water damage on the inside, yet the two of us didn't appear to have gone through anything. I'm not absolutely certain, as I have not gotten confirmation in this, but I believe that somewhere in the southwest there's going to be a severe flood. Houses are going to be damaged, people are going to panic, and because I mentioned GM and Ford in the dream, I believe that this flood is going to somehow affect the car industry. Okay. Then I had a second dream, right after this one. Before I tell you about it, I will warn you that it's sort of graphic in nature. So if you have children, you may not want them to hear this. However, I won't go into all the graphic details. I'll tell the dream sequence as PG as possible. So in the second dream, I saw a woman entertaining male guests. It looked like a party. The woman was grinding up marijuana, and then she began passing it out. Some of the guests were eating salad, so she said, "Here, have some green with your greens." Then she began showing one of her guests some silk flowers that she had made. They felt very real and natural. Then she began showing another guest some of her boudoir clothing. The guest began picking some of the clothing up and looked at it. He told her how sexy it was, and that there was one piece in particular he wanted to see her in. I forgot to mention that as she was passing out the marijuana, she was naked. A woman told her to put some clothes on, and she said, "God made the body, you know. The natural body is beautiful," or something like that. I can't remember what she said verbatim. So then after showing her racy clothing to the guest, this woman and her male guest went down the hallway and slipped into a bathroom together. I know right now you're appalled at what I'm saying, and you want to shut the video off. You think, this isn't from God, it's just sick. But I promise it is a message from God. And when I'm done giving you the details about the dream, I will explain its message. Just give me a few more moments. The woman and the man locked the door, and the man said something about keeping this quiet from her father. Then the two of them began making out. At this point I realized I was having a dream, and I rebuked the devil for putting such a dream in my mind. But the dream wouldn't go away, and I felt as if the Holy Spirit was saying, "No, it isn't the devil giving you this dream, it's me." I began feeling nauseous. I felt as if I needed to throw up. But then I began to get the interpretation of this dream. In the dream, the party was at a house that I spent part of my growing up years in. I lived at this house from the age of 8 until I was 12. I believe this translates as a place that I have lived, and that translates as not just a house, but America. So the interpretation of the house is America. The woman throwing the party was a whore who was entertaining her lovers. Her mother and her sister were both there also. At first the woman was naked as she passed out the marijuana. This represents the whore showing herself as she is. She does not hide behind a false barrier. The marijuana and the flowers represent nature, and because it seemed that she had made them, they also represent the things in nature that are being manipulated by GMOs. When she showed off the flowers, she acted as if that she had made them, yet they seemed and felt totally real. The flowers were not fake. Also, because she wanted to mix the marijuana with the salad, this represents that our food may be or may become tainted. The sexy clothing represents two things: the sexiness or sexuality of the whore, and something that is imported in America. Sexy clothing is something America is known for. The outfit that the man held up and said, "I want to see you in this," was a short black top. The shortness of the top possibly represents the short length of time the whore will be in power. The top was black, and that represents the darkness or the sin of the whore's wild behavior. Another thought that just came to mind is that the black may represent Islam. The man who took the whore to the bathroom was short and somewhat dark-skinned. He was also a bit scruffy or rough around the edges. He had dark hair, and he was wearing black attire. His voice was like someone from New York, most specifically the Bronx. When I began waking up and realizing that I was having a dream, I saw the whore as Jezebel, and I saw the man as Satan. Okay, so let's go back through so we understand what the dream is saying. There is so much to grasp in this. You may even see some things that I haven't. The house that I used to live in is America. The woman is the whore, whom the Bible calls the spirit of Jezebel. She is the woman who rides the beast, and the man she was making out with was the beast or Satan. The man was wearing black, and the woman's short top he held up was also black. This is the darkness, the evil, the sin. It is telling that these two characters are shrouded in sin. The man's accent was from the Bronx, which is in New York City. This could be telling that Satan's kingdom or seat of power is in New York. The woman entertained her lovers, which are the nations of the world or the kings who rule them. The mother and the sister or the whore were also there. The mother represents Babylon, who was the first whore, and the sister represents a sister nation or kingdom of the whore. The sister would also be another daughter of the original Babylon. I've not figured out yet who this nation is. I remember in the Bible, I think it's in Isaiah, God was telling Israel about her adulteries against him, essentially calling her a whore for mixing herself with the world and with other gods. And he told Israel that she was like her mother and her sister. I can't remember who the sister was, though, but in any case, the whore herself is Mystery Babylon. If Mystery Babylon is in America, as the dream is telling us, and if the man who is Satan was making out with Mystery Babylon, then does this mean that this man is the Antichrist? The Bible tells us that the Antichrist comes to rule Mystery Babylon. His seat of power is there. Something else that I forgot to mention is that while the whore and Satan were making out, she seemed to be kissing and touching him more than he was with her. To me, this represents that the whore will give Satan what he wants, but being as selfish as he is, he does not quite give her what she wants. The man told the woman he wanted to keep this quiet from her father. To me, the father represents God, and at first I thought that the woman may also represent the apostate church, which is intermingling with Satan. But this morning I was laying in bed, and it sprang to mind that this wasn't just about an apostate church. This is about all of America. America was raised up by God to be a Christian nation, which would fulfill prophecy regarding spreading the gospel to all the nations of the earth, not to mention that America helped to make Israel a nation in 1948. Though America started out as a Christian nation, it has become wicked and adulterous toward God. What is clear to me here is that the whore is Mystery Babylon, which resides in America, and comes from the original Babylon and from a sister nation that also comes from Babylon. I believe that this is true. I came upon some research that someone did on the origins of the nations from the biblical perspective. In fact, there's a website that details the nations and where they come from, starting with Noah's sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. I will try to find the address and post it in the description box so you can go and see it for yourself. But the American Indians, I remember finding that they came from the ancestry of Nimrod, who was the king of Babylon. Also, a certain president's ancestry also comes from Nimrod. The Antichrist is a descendant of Nimrod, and so also is the true origin of America, which means that America truly is the daughter of Babylon, both in its ancestry and in spirit. Another clue that this dream was giving us regarding who Mystery Babylon is was with the GMO marijuana in flowers, and also in its importing of clothing or goods. We all know that there has been a lot of GMO manipulation here in America, and America imports almost 100% of its clothing and goods that are both bought and sold. At first, after having this dream, I only understood that the woman was the whore of Revelation, and that the man was Satan, or the beast which she rides. But after really picking apart all of the details and seeing all of the dream's symbolism, I understand that the Holy Spirit was trying to reveal to me who Mystery Babylon is, and also who the Antichrist is. Again, I believe it's clear that Mystery Babylon is America, and the beast, Satan, or the Antichrist, is a man who also comes from America. I will just say, and you all know, that I believe that the Antichrist is Obama. No one else would call their car the beast, and no one else could possibly have a name that means lightning from heaven. When Jesus said he saw Satan fall as lightning from heaven, he is literally saying he saw Satan as Barack Obama. That's not a coincidence. There's too many other things that also tell us that Barack Obama is the Antichrist, like the white horse that stood over the Denver Stadium, I think it was, when Obama gave his Democratic acceptance speech back in 2008. That white horse was telling the Christians that he is the Antichrist, the white horse rider, and it was telling the Muslims that he is their Mahdi. Then there was an event where they recreated the seat of Zeus of Pergamus, which the Bible tells us that that's where Satan dwells, and Obama spoke at the event. I can't remember what that event was, but that's another subliminal thing telling us that this man is Satan incarnate. There's just too many things that are not coincidence, and I believe that only Christians who are awake and can see things clearly can see the truth. Some are just waking up to these things, and some have known for a while. I remember when Obama was running for presidency, I walked into church one night, and two people asked me and my dad if we thought Obama was the Antichrist. At that time, there were a lot of people following him, and some seemed to be even worshiping him, and acting as if he was some sort of Messiah. Even people in other countries around the world were acting this way about Obama. At that time, I hadn't really been following the election of 2008, and I didn't really know much about anything about Obama. So I told the two people I didn't think that he was the Antichrist, and my dad had always believed that the Antichrist was going to come from the Middle East. It wasn't until Obama's second run in 2012 that I began to see that he was the Antichrist. I set out to prove that he wasn't, but ended up proving that he was. Obama has all of the prerequisites of the Antichrist, but I'm not going to try to prove to you that he is the man of lawlessness or the son of perdition. I'm going to let you ask the Lord for confirmation in this yourself, and ask him to show you who the Antichrist is. Ask him to show you who Mystery Babylon is. Like it or not, accept it or not, God's judgment is going to fall upon America because of its dealings in wickedness. America has fallen from the Christian nation that it once was, and it has even turned its back on God, and quite honestly, it's giving him the finger. I hope you're all ready for what is to come. Pray that you may be counted worthy to escape the tribulation. Pray that you may be counted worthy to escape God's judgment on this nation. I do believe that we will be raptured out before the worst of things get underway, but there is a chance that we may have to go through some things. As I've said before, hope for the best and prepare for the worst. If you've seen something in the details of the dream's description that I might have missed, or if the Holy Spirit is telling you something different than what I'm feeling about this dream, please email me and tell me what you think. Also, if anyone else is or has had dreams similar to those that I've mentioned here, please tell me about them. Again, I will leave my email address in the description box, along with the address to the website that describes the nations and their origins. Thanks for listening. Shalom.